take that path, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like take the path of like leaning in and to what is being downloaded into you. That's your next step. Like it's telling you your next step of what you need to do. And I think that that's what saved me really in this, and just like recovering as much as I have in the past 2 years. I mean, my doctors told me from the beginning that I probably would never walk normal again.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the #1 mental health and addiction podcast, the Hopeaholics. I am your girl, Natalie Marie, and these are my boys.
I'm Chad.
Hi, I'm Shane.
Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow us on our socials and wherever you get your podcasts.
Got a new episode dropping every Monday and Thursday. Please come check it out.
This episode is brought to you by the Infinity Group. You guys, if you or a loved one is suffering, please call us today. The number is right here on the screen. We are here for you 24/7. Now, let's get into the episode.
Natalie, welcome to the Hopeaholics
welcome.
Podcast.
Nat! Yes.
Yeah.
Looking bomb just off of a flight.
Right?
Yes. My fellow Texan.
Yes.
Yes.
20 minutes separate us at home.
I know, which is wild.
And she has a presence. She has a very strong aura, a very strong feminine presence.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good for you. You carry yourself very well.
She's a powerhouse.
Ooh, she is. She's tall. She's very attractive. She's smart. Married. A great job. I mean, she's a catch.
Wow.
Whoa!
That was really nice.
That was the nicest thing he's ever said to anybody ever in his life.
I think so.
Thank you. I
Impressed.
received that.
Yeah.
My sister tells me I'm in my masculine too much, so that was a nice.
No.
That was nice.
It's
I feel like you kind of have to be a little bit because
well,
of, the business you're in.
and plus her man. I mean, it's just part of your life. So yeah, are you more than say the average feminine who we don't really want that in? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We want some. Yeah, that's
A little fire.
yeah, bro.
Spice, I call it.
Sure, call it that.
Because you're originally from
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Good old Pittsburgh.
Wow. And
Hard
then-
nosed town, like blue collar, really blue collar factory.
That's right.
Commercial, a lot of stacks of smoke coming up.
Boy, you really know your...
Never been, but I know
country.
steel country. Yeah.
Yeah. I come from a long line of super hard blue collar workers.
See, this is where she gets it from.
And now, do you have, you only have a sister, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just you two.
Just us two.
Older, younger?
She's younger. She's 4.5 years younger.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Similar or?
We are very opposite in quite a lot, but I think we come together in the perfect ways. Like we're similar in the perfect ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys are close?
Yeah. Really, really close.
Oh, that's nice.
Were you like that all growing up?
It was a love-hate. I mean, I think any typical sibling.
Yeah.
But no, she's amazing and so blessed to have a sister like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's like a nice, it's nice to be able to have somebody to always.
A confidant, no matter
Like a-
what,
like
thick
a-
and thin.
Like basically a blood best friend.
Yeah, and how about your
Yeah.
mom and dad? I'm going to say that's good for them. That's kudos to the parents because that's a big deal when a lot of kids aren't talking.
Yeah.
So good that you guys are close.
It is, yes. And, it wasn't, we of course had our seasons, but I think now that we're both older and wiser, we've kind of we agree to disagree on the things that we don't or should not be talking about.
Yeah.
Like politics.
I was about to say who you voting for. Anyways, that's not how you get me started.
Yeah.
But no, she's the person I call.
Yeah.
She's the person I call about
Awesome.
anything and everything. And she always brings me back to center. She's very in tune with.
I do want to say that that's American, though. We should be able to have that regardless of who we vote for, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we're all so much more similar than we are different.
Oh, for sure. I agree. Yeah. You should be, just because of a way a particular person, say, votes for, should not, immediately have this just unwillingness to have any type of relationship with.
Yeah.
I'm feeling crazy. So your husband, John, how long have you guys been married? And why him?
Why him?
Yeah.
Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we're both from Pennsylvania.
Oh,
We met in Dallas,
Wow.
Texas, believe it or not, back in 2008. So we've been together for 16 years.
that's nice.
Married for 12 of those. And when I met him, he worked for Neiman Marcus. And when I first met him, he had the longer hair. He was like, I mean, total Fabio, like just so hot and glamorous and like, you know, designer head to toe.
Yeah.
And I totally knew that he was an East Coaster, like transplant to Dallas, because Dallas guys do not dress like that. So, but no, it was long story, but it was kind of fate. He met my sister on set for the movie She's Out of My League in Pittsburgh. They worked for the same talent or modeling agency. And my sister, he saw her license plate and she had switched over to Texas license plate. And he's like, wow, I'm about to move to Dallas in a couple of months. You know, do you live there? She goes, no, not yet, but my sister does. And, you know, she found out we were the same age. He's 2 weeks older than me. And he was in the fashion industry at the time. And so was I. And it was one of those things. I got out of a really terrible relationship and wanted nothing to do with guys. And she called me and she's like, I just met this guy. He's really cute. I feel like you'd really get along with him. You guys are into the same stuff. I'm like, not interested, you know, thanks. So 6 months later, one of my very first friends in Dallas was having this party.
No.
And he said, hey, this guy from Pittsburgh just moved into my building and he's coming tonight.
That is
And
awesome.
I think you guys would, you know, at least like have something mutual to talk about, common to talk about. And he walked in and it was like, you know, the slow motion movie where it's just like his hair is flowing.
Yeah.
Like he's so perfect. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, it turns out that he was the same person that my sister called me about 6 months prior.
Wow.
And we have been together ever since that night.
Wow. And she's still, look at her blushing. She's still on it.
I get
She's
so
still
blushed
got
about it because
butterflies, I'm sure right now. We got to send that to her husband. He might have forgotten. We don't know. We got to send, we got to send that over. That was nice. God, he's lucky guy. Yeah, man. Good for you.
You know, I feel like we all go through seasons in life and there's people that last and people that don't, right? I mean, because we're constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And I think that even stands true, like for you yourself and accepting yourself, you know, but we're constantly evolving. And so, you know, we pinch ourselves sometimes, and just like any long standing relationship, I mean, I'm sure all of you guys too. It's like we've made it through our 20s, our 30s, and now we're starting a new decade in our 40s together. And we've been through a lot of shit. I mean, highs and lows and starting businesses and failing and successes and heartache. And I mean, all of it, you know, and it's like, and as you're growing into each season of your life and evolving, you know, to stand by one another is just, you know, awesome. And then to think back to like, okay, well, how'd you meet? And then you tell that story. It's like, wow, you know, it's a pinch me moment.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so true.
That's really cool though. Like,
It was double enforced by
Yeah,
God. By
yeah.
God. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
She just
sure.
she wasn't ready
For fate or
in the first 6 months. 6 months prior, she needed to recover.
Very like
Yeah.
serendipitous.
Yeah, that's nice. That's
Yeah.
really nice.
What brought you to Dallas in the first place?
I was finishing school in New York City. I graduated in 2007 with my final degree there, and that was the year that the economy just
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
took a
Yep.
down. So at the same time, my folks were relocating for my dad's job at the time from Pittsburgh to Plano, Texas.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Like corporate headquarter row.
Yeah.
And he was like, why don't you just come and see how you like it? And funny story. I mean, we were driving down the road. I mean, I had landed. My mom was taking me back to their house. I had never even visited. And all of a sudden, like, we're on this dirt road and there are cows coming out in the middle of the road. And I said, Mom, what is this road? She goes, FM 423. And I said, what is FM? And she's like, farm to market. And I just started bawling because I came from the center of Manhattan to this farm to market road. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life? But I stuck it through, never left.
Mm-hmm.
I just got a flashback to that series with, what's her name, the blonde, where she would go from the city, her and her friend, to the country. The famous blonde, the heiress to the...
Oh, yeah, Paris?
Paris Hilton, yeah. I don't know why that came into my head, seeing her. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, like City Life into...
City
It
Life,
was
for the first
Paris
month.
and
Nicole Richie.
Nicole Richie,
Yeah. Wow.
And then you've stayed ever since, right?
Yeah, ever since.
And then when you met John for the first time, were you guys together from that day forward?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I lived there about a year prior to him moving. And it was quite the year. I think I cried every day.
Oh my gosh.
It's just like, what do you do on a farm to market road?
Sure. Especially coming from big city.
Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big change.
Yes.
Big time. And then did you guys start, because you started in PR, right?
I was always we were both in the fashion industry, and but always business, management, sales, marketing, PR world. And we both had a couple of different career changes, but all within that same realm. And we owned a marketing company, like a little boutique marketing company in Dallas for several years. And then we started Hook and Barrel magazine.
Which is how I know Natalie. Which you
It's
guys
not
have,
an easy run
which
starting
you guys
a magazine.
have. No, that's what we're going to get into.
That's a real tough startup.
We
You saw
we
my
saw
cover.
your whole entire photo shoot.
Well, that was my
online.
next question. Was how can Chad and I get on the front cover?
Are you a hunter?
If
Do
she
you do anything outdoors?
if she tells me to, I will obey. Anything to get on the front cover. Come on, me and Chad on the front cover. Now hook us up. I'm not going to say it again.
Yeah, but her readers, what things can
Average Joe to hunter, something like that.
Yeah, but you haven't hunted yet.
Well, I could go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's do it. Average Joe and Hunter. It could be a whole story.
I don't need to be on the front cover.
Two 50-year-olds who've never hunted in their life. They get training lessons. They learn to shoot a gun. They get on. They get out there. They start doing life, and it's like a whole thing. All right, I'm just saying.
I like it. I like that.
You're onto something.
You're onto some kind of storyline there, Shane.
Yeah.
Very much so.
I mean, I'm totally want to hunt. That is something that my dad was not into that kind of stuff, just because he was a doctor and he was just very into science, and never taught me that kind of stuff. But man, I want to do it, especially after watching Natalie and Jonathan go hunt. And which brings me to the point thing. Did you know that her husband's name is also Jonathan?
I did.
Okay, you don't
John.
know that. Nice.
Says it right in the notes here.
But what sparked you to all of a sudden kind of pivot and then create a magazine? Like Shane's saying, a magazine is really difficult, especially in this day and age. Just to have print, article, all of that is, I feel, a lot more difficult now because of social media. So when did that idea kind of come between you both? Like, hey, let's do this.
Yeah, so we had a lot of outdoor oriented clients at the time in our marketing company, and they were always these particular ones were wanting to really target that 30 to 55-year-old generation and demographic. And, it was our job to place them and figure out what is going to make the biggest impact for attracting new folks to what it is that they have to offer. And so we just couldn't find it. It's like, what are you going to do? Billboards? Or at the time, there were a lot of great outdoor magazines on the market, but they just catered to an older demographic. So it wasn't bringing the fresh blood into the fold, and ultimately preserving our hunting and shooting, like our hunting and shooting industry, and way of life,
100%.
Passing it down, because like you, I didn't grow up hunting, or, I mean, I don't think I held my first handgun and learned how to shoot just for personal defense until probably like 10 or 11 years ago, and here I am fast forwarding to owning and operating an outdoor magazine, so it's, you never know how your life can turn in that regard too. And, what your new passions can be. But anyway, so we couldn't find anything out there that we thought was worthwhile, I guess.
Yeah.
And so John came home one day and he's like, I've got it. If we can't find the media, let's become the media. And I have this idea, hook and barrel. It'll be celebrity based, but not just outdoor celebrities. Like, let's bring everyday folks, the celebrities that everybody knows into the fold, share their love for the outdoors. It doesn't mean that all of them hunt, fish, or shoot, but some of them own wineries, or some of them are race car drivers, or, we had Richard Rawlings on the cover. He's a supercar guy, Gas Monkey Garage, it's like all that, or Mike Rowe on the cover, everybody, like, that's all of our demographic.
Mm-hmm.
We're interested in all of those things. And so that was his idea. And he said, well, are you on board? And I said, sure, let's do it. And the success of where we are now did not come without every drop of blood, sweat, and tears, and every penny that we personally had to invest in making this a success, just because we knew we were onto something solid. And it just, like you said, it was super tough. We started, our first issue dropped in 2018. So to drop a print magazine in 2018 is kind of unheard of, but we did it. And I think that like, we were very green into the publication industry. And I think that was our biggest strength is just not knowing and not,
I like that,
not looking at what everybody else was doing, but rather looking at our idea, our concept, understanding what everybody else was doing and why it was failing or on the decline. And then using our business savvy to come in and say, well, we could do this, but we could do it better on the business end and on the back end. And that's where I think, we just propelled.
Yeah.
It is impressive because baseball is going through the same dilemma as the outdoorsmen did, I guess, in 2018 when they were looking for something. There was nothing available.
Yeah.
And it was an aging market. Like you said, you have to bring it. Same thing with baseball. They're trying to attract a younger crowd right now. They're having trouble. Baseball's losing fans.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What are they doing about it?
I don't know.
Oh.
Gosh,
Are you going to start a baseball magazine?
No, but I'm just saying there's
Which they're
Please.
trying to, like, I get what you're saying, because they're trying to change a lot of the rules to kind of get the game to, for the viewer, for it to be a little bit more fast paced. So, players, for instance, a pitcher can't hold the ball for X amount of seconds, etc. They're changing little things about the game. But I think, too, where baseball kind of messed up is growing up. Do you remember, like, the cards they had?
Yeah.
It was very much
Bubble gum in there. It was nice.
totally.
Yeah.
And so my dad used to work for Mother's Cookies, so they would do these during the season. They would have certain players' cards in, like, the animal cookie bags, and making it very much a kid friendly and excitement and entertainment, where I feel like that kind of has
Decline.
gone away. Yeah.
It's basketball has taken over that demographic.
Yeah.
Basketball is a highly growing audience of younger people. It's just so they cater to the younger generation, and they've made it really, really cool. And that's all, but that's been a long process for basketball. You got to go back to the 80s and it's been a whole process.
That's why I'm saying.
And they did speed up the
Yeah.
game in basketball, which I think is really a thing for the younger generation, because with the TikTok generation, you've got 2 seconds to capture their attention.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
2 seconds. If you can't capture somebody's attention in 2 seconds, you're done. You're swiped. On to the next thing that catches my attention. It's crazy, right? And think about baseball. Holding the ball, staring at the glove.
Yeah.
I mean...
Waiting for the count. now they have the guys like you can feed into the, I guess their ear or something like that. I just recently saw. So it's always constantly changing. When you guys dropped in 2018, did you immediately go to serving the online market as well at that same time? Like, did it coincide, or was that a like evolution as well?
It was an evolution. So of course we had a website that went alongside the print, but we knew that we needed to build a brand first, something tangible in your hands. So that's why we were really, really focused on just getting our print distribution up, getting that brand recognition, like, you know, doing really cool stuff in print. We would filter that online, but it wasn't until just a couple years ago where we really started putting and hiring staff to accelerate the online space, the digital space. We knew that was always going to come, but it was just, we had to do one thing at a time. Otherwise you just become an online blog.
Yeah.
You know, and if people are used to coming online to get everything, then why are they going to want the print product?
Yeah.
And in print, we do things super visually stunning. I mean, obviously, like you've seen what we do, but the photos, the visual integrity, everything. I mean, it's just like it's so nice, right? And it's different when you can.
Oh my gosh,
touch
for
and
sure.
feel it.
I still like to have a magazine.
Oh yeah, me too.
If I'm gonna read an article, I mean I'm more
Most people do though.
to read an article
do.
in a magazine than online. If I'm going online, I'm just scrolling. Instagram or something like that. Not really reading. I'll now online. I'll do more video, learning type stuff.
But you do it all, and that's what's
We
like
do it all
really
now.
cool. Is I'm the same where I like something tangible. The same with like books. I would prefer reading a book where I can turn a page, but I have now, transitioned to audio as well as reading on my phone or a book on my phone as well, just because it makes more sense if you're traveling not to carry 3 large books with you,
Yeah.
it gets kind of
Totally
heavy.
get it. Yeah. I think we all have that preference, right?
Yeah.
But then we just adapt, and I mean the Audible. I mean, who you can't deny that that's just so easy and
For sure.
great to at least have something in your ear. But yeah, I totally prefer a book over.
Oh my goodness. And not only that, but your guys' quality is phenomenal. I mean, the magazine is up in my parents' house when you walk in their family room. I mean, I make fun of my brothers, or my brothers make fun of me.
Is that with you on the picture on the front?
On the cover, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It was a badass cover.
It's a badass cover.
yeah.
I think it might be one of my favorite print issues that I've done to date, because it was just so aesthetically cool, very different than anything I've ever done. But the interview was awesome, capturing a lot of,
Passion.
I guess, where I'm at in my season. So I think that's
Depth.
not just your typical like 10 questions. Okay, we're done here. As a reader, whoever is diving in, I would assume, or at least for me, you want to know a little bit about whichever individual that is featured in the magazine. And I feel, especially in that kind of genre, people that are searching, they're looking for something to either get inspired to try it for the first time, especially if it comes hunting, whether it's with rifle, a bow, or just anything outdoors, fishing, or that kind of whole area. It kind of grabs everything and puts it all into one, where you can actually learn and also feel, okay, well, if this individual is doing it, maybe I'm going to give it a whirl, and gives you a good basis of where to kind of start, because it is quite overwhelming.
Well, I mean, but perfect example. You're inspiring Chad to go.
I know.
Hunt.
We need to go. We need to go hunt.
Yeah. I'm down.
Yeah, that's awesome, and you absolutely should do it.
Yep.
Well,
Take them with you this season.
We
Yeah, I
need to
know.
set it up. We need we need 3 pages right in the middle, explaining our story,
Perfect.
and just start there.
I'll commit to it. I'll commit to it.
I don't even know if you could hang
I think it'd be tough.
Sure, they could.
elevation and
tough.
hiking.
Yeah.
She knows I can hang. She was
Yeah.
specifically.
What are you saying?
Because, well, I mean, I
What are you
think
saying exactly?
I'm saying
me.
I think that
Do
you're
you-
going to cry.
No wusses in the fields.
because I think that's a really big misconception is like people think that you go out to hunt, that it's you just hop out of your car and you're able to just kill an elk and then call it a day and pack up and go. It's not like that.
It's not like fishing.
It's definitely.
I put 16 miles on to get my first elk.
Whoa.
Did you?
Yeah.
That is nice.
How many days did it take you?
4.
4?
4.
Did you
But it was 16 miles the day that I got them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I
it
was
wasn't-
also
it
had a
wasn't
question
total.
though. Have you ever your first time before you had shot an elk, had you ever taken the shot and completely missed?
Yeah. The first shot I took at an elk that same trip. The day before I took a shot and I was I crosshairs on, and come to find out I must have bumped my scope and it shot high. But I was like, how did that happen? And then you're like, oh, you prepped for this moment, and
Yeah.
and so that was really devastating. But thank God, I didn't, there was no impact. So it wasn't wounded or anything like that. I just like totally missed, shot high. But yeah, I mean, when that happens, but you go back to the drawing board, you fix it, you regroup, and you get out there again.
I don't know if I can do 16 miles in one day. I'm not going to lie.
Exactly. And
I'm
it's
just saying, that's a long day, bro.
And it's at elevation.
That's a long day. And when I
Depending
go
on
to
where you're
Colorado, when I go to
Yeah.
Steamboat, I get sick. I need 2 days to in Steamboat.
To acclimate.
I need 2 days to acclimate, and even then,
Yeah.
I'm having a tough time.
That's
You know,
what I'm. That's
I'm
what I
a
mean.
ground
Do you
level.
typically have breathing problems?
No, not at all.
Oh, so it just really affects you.
Yeah, my mind. I get sick. I throw up.
Oh wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They have medicine for that,
Do they?
like altitude medicine.
Yeah, altitude miss. So I'll try, but 16 miles in one day. That's
know if that
that's
works,
a truck.
but I
That's
hear-
that's a strong day.
Oh yeah. Last season,
Wow.
my second one, the whole crew was like, "Yo, what are we doing?"
Really?
Because we were.
I think before you go
miles.
hunting, Shane, you need to read or listen to whatever you prefer, Cam Haynes' book, because that it actually got me pumped for hunting because it totally changed my whole perspective on the purpose of hunting. I was like, oh, hunting is actually really, really cool, and you're getting the best possible nutrition for your body.
Right. The healthiest.
And I get to do it myself. How cool is that?
Yeah. Yeah, he started a whole movement, and kudos to him. We've had him on the cover too, just because of that, and the just new blood that he's bringing into the space, which is so great. But
Now, I'm not doing anything that he does. I'm not doing this bow hunting stuff because that stuff is kind of gnarly.
maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. You don't know.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even in my vision at all, though. Especially, he was talking about bow hunting a bear.
That's what he recommended to me for my first.
To
for
bow
my
hunt a bear.
First.
A bear. That's what he said. Yeah. I love shooting a bow. I haven't had the opportunity to go bow hunting yet, or to take an animal with a bow yet, but that's next for me.
Me too. I just haven't had the practice with the bow long enough because when
To
it's
feel
bow, it's
totally
wild.
confident.
I mean, you're
Yes.
so close to that animal
Yep.
that it is
20, 30 yards,
Yeah,
you have one
which is
shot.
next
You better
level.
get-
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it better be perfect.
That close.
And you have one shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that close.
And also, you want to, it's got to be the kill shot, right? Because there's nothing worse than missing.
Or wounding.
Wounding
Oh,
is what I meant.
Yeah,
That's probably worst case scenario ever.
He talks about wounding an animal in his book, and thankfully he kept searching and found the animal.
that's what you do. You don't ever just let it go. It's up to you, even if it takes 20 miles in
Yeah.
24 hours. I mean, you're finding it.
Yeah.
That's the
Because
right
that's
thing
also
to do.
too what people don't realize is that it's not, and this was something that I had to obviously learn, but you get your tag and then you have one. So if you shoot an animal and you wound it and you can't find it,
That's
you're
your
done.
Mm-hmm.
You don't harvest that season. You go home meatless, which is nuts, where people think that, you know, hunters are going out there and just having a free for all. It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
It's very much so.
There's a lot of ethics around it.
Yes, a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with
We learned a lot about this from your friend that came on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Learned a lot from
Robbie.
that guy.
Blood Origins.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
John
came on.
was just on that podcast.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. I have a couple because now, you know, I'm really into your whole business, right? So where did the name Hook and Barrel? Who came up with the name? Because what a great name for an outdoors magazine.
Thanks. It was John. John is part of that small 1% of visionaries out there. And he can see things just 15, 20 years before it's time. And not saying that the name is like anything prolific, but like, but I'm just saying in general, I mean, the whole concept and what he was on to and how he developed the whole ideology behind what it is that we do. I mean, and the content that we put in the magazine is, he's just very ahead of the trends, very ahead of the time, which is another reason why, it's just, you know, I run the company. He tells me what he's doing and I sell it. Right. And so it's easy to sell when you're on to just greatness. Hook is fishing hook.
Yep.
And barrel is barrel of a gun. We also talk, you know, barrel of wine or like all the, you know, the drink section that we have, barrel of whiskey, stuff like that. So we'll feature different, you know, distilleries around the world. We do a lot of different travel pieces and destination. So it's just kind of all encompassing of where the outdoors can take you and what, you know, music we listen to. We work closely with a lot of musicians and, yeah, it's just like a good general lifestyle magazine.
Mm-hmm. And working with your husband, how has that been?
We are a needle in a haystack. I mean, you guys work together, so you understand. John and I literally work across the desk from each other. So there's days where, you know, we'll be in a mini debate or, you know, I might think something should go one way. He thinks something should go another way. We'll be on a call with our whole team, and our whole team works remotely around the country. And so is video is our best friend, but it's funny because sometimes we'll bicker and like our team is like, okay, this is husband and wife now, you know, rather than our bosses. But, no, I mean, I think it's just, I think that is, we are each other's yin to the yang.
Mm-hmm.
And his strengths are not necessarily mine and my strengths aren't necessarily his. And so the way that we're able to come together and collaborate on literally everything, because we also have a 5-year-old too. So it's like husband, wife, mom and dad, best friends. Then you've got business partners running this company. You're responsible for people that are on your payroll and their families. And it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever resolve any of those bickerings by getting the rest of the team to
Pick a side?
not pick a no,
I would never do that.
not pick a side? Because
Massage them into agreeing.
you have to be like, okay, her idea might be the better idea, or his idea might actually be the better idea this time. Or how do you end up resolving it? What is your way? Because sometimes I would go out for vote, like, which do you guys think is better? That's something that I would do. I've worked in family business my whole life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've had my mom throw the keys at me and be like, you run the company then. And storm out and leave my dad here. You know, I worked with my ex-wife she's still 20 some years, even after we got divorced. So
That's incredible.
yeah, that's been incredible. And her and my current wife and her husband, we're all friends. We hung out all weekend at in Texas, Waco, Texas, at Baylor University.
Yeah.
Because that's where my son is. We hung out together the whole weekend for family weekend. So, but yeah, there's always ways to resolve these things. How do you guys resolve those
You're
issues?
obviously really good at relationships and communication. So kudos to you.
Thank you
for
Appreciate
having that kind of dynamic in your family. I don't know really how we resolve things. I'm usually right. No.
Happy wife,
That's
happy
the
life.
Italian in me.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think we're both really reasonable, and we might have strong opinions of, what I think or what he thinks. But at the end of the day, I mean, we always pull our team in and ask them their opinions too. I mean, I think that's like teamwork makes the dream work,
Yep.
So, but what we are really, really good at is building on top of one another. Like he'll come up with an idea, and then I'll be like, if he has the foundation of an idea, then I'm really good at coming in and kind of capitalizing on that.
Nice.
And then he'll be like, oh, but then what if we also do this? And then I'll be, oh, what if we do this too? And then we come up with this like amazing concept or idea or plan. I don't know. We work really well together.
I like it. I don't like it when people say, oh, you can't work with your spouse, or you can't do this or that. Yeah, you can.
You can.
You can.
Yeah. So I guess in this table, I'm not so much a needle in a haystack. I think it's pretty amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what? He's on the phone with his wife all day long.
All day long.
Does she work with you too? No?
Doesn't work.
Well, but okay, so 3 out of the 4.
No,
That's
Chad's wife doesn't work either.
My ex-wife.
His ex-wife.
well, I know, but I'm
My
like,
current wife is very, very much involved in my life, but yeah, not here now.
but I mean to have 3 people out of 4 sitting here
Yeah.
like working with
Yeah.
a spouse or ex,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's
My parents worked together. I worked
Yeah,
with my mom and
yeah.
dad.
You
I
did.
worked
So
with my
you
mom and
worked in
dad for
family
20 years.
businesses your
See?
whole life.
My
Yeah.
brother for 25 years, yeah.
and I think that is even that's even like more applaud
Yeah, there was
worthy
4 of us there,
because
5 of us
to
making
work with a
decisions.
sibling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've done a sibling.
Yeah.
What am I talking about?
Yeah.
My sister works for this
Yeah.
company as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting for us because like when you do work in our business is a 24-hour 7, it never closes. We always have clients all day long, every day. But one thing that we did as a family is before we even get started, we had season seats to the Lakers. So we always would go to Laker games as a family. And when we went to those games, that's when we didn't talk about work. We talked about work at Christmas. We talked about work at Thanksgiving, just because we have never does anything happen in a treatment center between the hours of 9 and 5. I mean, stuff does, but the drama seems to always pick up between the hours of 5 p.m. and then through the night until 9 a.m. the next morning. That's when the drama comes, because during the regular hours there's lots of staff around, there's therapy going on, we're opening up wounds, we're sewing up wounds, and then you leave them raw sometimes during the hours after 5 p.m. and that's just the reality of the job that I'm in. And I mean, I wouldn't trade it for a second, because even though I work long hours, not a second of it to me feels like work.
It's a lifestyle.
It is. It's one of the most amazing things we got to experience earlier today. A girl had found the Hopeaholics podcast and had been watching the Hopeaholics podcast, and she watched one of our videos where I said, if you need help, reach out. And she reached out, and we happened to have a scholarship available at that time. And I told her that if you can get yourself a flight, she's from New Jersey, if you can get yourself a flight to Orange County, we'll pick you up at the airport and scholarship you for 90 days.
Oh,
And
amazing.
she's 16 days sober today, and we had her come up and meet us. Sweetest young lady you could possibly, so grateful. Her life is, at this current moment has been altered. And now she just has to do the work. You know, and those are the things that happen that keep me going.
Sure.
You know, because there's the other side of the coin where, you know, there's a fentanyl crisis going on right now in the United States, and there's people are dying. As a matter of fact, 300 people are dying every single day from fentanyl. And we have to deal with that side of it. And sometimes that stuff's hard because sometimes it's my ex-clients that die. Or, you know, for the instance of the Hopeaholics podcast, the reason why we even started this is because I lost my son-in-law. And, you know, but that stuff still drives me too. The pain drives me. The rewards of these people drive me. So I just don't want people to suffer anymore since I stopped suffering, you know?
So awesome of you.
Thank you.
It really is, to bless her the way that you just did.
Yeah, she was.
And so many others, not just her, I'm sure.
It was just incredible experience.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to introduce Shane to her. She's just like shy and sweet and grateful. It was just seriously a blessing.
It was weird for me to. I mean, you don't really catch me too much speechless. So I didn't really know what to say except just kind of listen, because that's what it's all about. Everybody trying to get better, you know, at the end of the day. Like, everyone is trying to
improve
in some degree, whether you suffer with a substance abuse problem or not. And so to have really what it comes down to is she listened to a video and heard reach out if you need help, and then took that actionable step, which is really difficult for a lot of people to move when they're in pain, and she did. And then luckily she was able to then follow the next step, which is get on a flight, and now she got that little bit of hope given to her to get better, to get well.
But with you being speechless, that's not a bad thing. Sometimes people just need the embrace.
For sure.
And that's probably what you
it was
were
great
doing, whether you realize that or not, in that moment of meeting her. And I think that's such a beautiful story.
It's nice.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
But kind of circling back to the working relationship, I think really what it comes down to is like communication. Being able to communicate with whether it's your spouse or family members is kind of the name of the game. And then also remembering the ultimate goal and mission of the business and not our egos. So like, obviously when it's husband and wife, sometimes it's like, you know, you want to draw the line in the sand there for certain little areas. But then when it comes down to the business, it's a little bit easier. The main objective is whatever your mission within that business is. And as long as all parties can remember that, then I feel anything can be successful, because then you're pushing away your own self-pride and ego and all the things to just grow the business.
Alignment.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure.
just being aligned.
How did because you said you have a little 5-year-old, so once you got pregnant, and now that's another kind of element to juggle in with everything that's going on, because as we all know, having a child is, well, I don't.
Well, 5-year-old that means that you had a child basically 1 year after you started the business? 19?
Yeah. I mean, we started the concept and the business, like, you know, before our first issue hit the stands in 2018. But yeah, he was born in 2019.
How was that navigating?
A lot. A lot. I was very stressed out that first year of the business, but yeah, I mean, and that's a whole nother, if this was a business podcast, we would get into some like major, you know, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it was just, you know, I was 35, about to be 36. And so it was one of those things where if we're going to have a family, then we really need to
step on it.
Think about it now, you know. Neither one of us we weren't really 100% positive if we wanted kids. But it came down to it, and we had little Jack. So, and he's so precious. He reminds me every day of just that childlike joy at this age. You know, I mean, or that childlike faith where it's just he's just so happy to even hold a crayon. I mean, or have a Lego to put together or something. And it's just so simple. And it reminds me, even in the highest stress of times, or, going through the things that I've gone through in the past couple of years, stresses of work, whatever the case is, it's just like, wow. I mean, our world, sometimes our worlds encapsulate in on us, like suffocates us. And we think that we're so much bigger than the world. And really, in essence, we're just like a mustard seed of a mustard seed in this whole big universe. And I think that he reminds me of that, of just, and I love that. I obviously can't imagine my life without him now.
We lose that though. When you grow up, we lose that feeling. It's sad.
We do.
That's one of my questions whenever I talk to a mother or to a client. What did you love when you were a kid? What did you love when you were growing up? We want to get that feeling back, that freedom. Then all of a sudden we have pressures. We get injured. You know what I'm saying? We go through personal stuff.
We get hurt by other people.
We get hurt by other people. You
fail.
Yeah, we fail. Yeah.
And then just like the pressure of having bills, finances,
Man,
kid,
adulting.
Adulting is rough.
Rough.
A lot.
Yeah. I'm like, Jonathan always brings up, he's like, gosh, when we're young, you are living at home. You have like a chauffeur. Your parents are driving you everywhere. You have a chef because, hopefully someone is cooking in the house. You have a maid. Someone is like,
that ain't our house.
picking up, or at least the general areas of the house,
Yeah.
And then obviously you learn real quick as soon as you go out into the real world. But
you know what I want to switch? I want to go to, we talked a minute ago about recovery, that lady, mental health recovery, and you had your own physical recovery. You went through some stuff.
Yes.
Right? Battling some things.
I want to get down to the nitty gritty on that.
Yeah.
Like how
what the Hopeaholics is about.
Well, and how that even kind of happened
to
you. Like what even started it, or kind of what caused it, etc.
Yeah, ground zero.
Yeah, so I was an athlete my whole life. I played tennis at a very high level.
Oh.
And so the initial injury was always my back, like L4, L5. I just would always have like bulged discs. At one point I herniated it, had a little cleanup surgery. Well, 2 years ago, I herniated what was left of that disc, and I was just in bad shape, like trying to figure out what's next. Like, what do I need to do? Do I just rest and put up with the pain that I have, or do I go get it fixed? Well, to fast forward, the surgeon that I saw, he basically said that it's a fusion or nothing. And so if you don't know what a fusion is, for your listeners, it's when they put a cage in your back. So you've got your vertebrae and you have those like squishy discs in between. Like my L4, L5 disc was gone pretty much. And so he was saying that that the cage was the only way. And then it fuses those two vertebrae on top and below it together. And so unfortunately, during my surgery, which was actually 2 years ago, 2 days from now.
Oh, wow.
And he put the cage in crooked into my back. And when he inserted it and hammered it in, like literally they have to like knock it in. And when he did that, it directly impacted my nerve root and also fractured the back of my vertebrae. And so so with that fracture, bone fragments flew into my, like they went into my nerve root, and I out of surgery, had instant nerve damage through the left side of me. So from my back to my toes. So I had drop foot. So drop foot is like, you can't see my feet, but like when you lift up your ankle, drop foot is when it just hangs. Like you have no mobility.
And that was immediately right after you got out of surgery.
Yeah. And I had immense like trauma level hip pain all the way through my toes. And so I wasn't really sure what all was happening or what was going on. But I kept saying like, something's not right. Something's not right. This isn't normal. And they kept saying, oh, this kind of pain is normal. And you just had a fusion surgery and, you know, just here's more drugs. Here's
Suck it
more
up.
drugs.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus, Murphy.
Yeah. So I was pretty loaded up with a lot of, you know, all the hospital drugs. Like, I mean, they had a morphine pump in me, and I mean, where I could just like press a button, but even that wasn't even taking the edge off the pain, or Dilaudid, like the most,
Oh my gosh.
you know, and just, nothing was taking the edge off. So I was like, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I just had back surgery, and like the back incision wasn't even anything compared to what I was experiencing nerve wise. And so, I slept that night. I woke up the next morning just doing what they said, because you don't know. You just trust your...
Yeah, you have no idea. You're thinking that my surgery is
he never
success.
knew he put it in bed at this point still. You had a suspicion, but the doctor is saying everything's good.
I had no idea what happened.
No.
I know everything now
Yeah.
based on my imaging and like going through the whole story, having
Jesus.
my now ongoing physician
Yeah.
who, you know, helped tell that story, like pre and post imaging so the next morning I woke up and I just said, like, this is not normal. I cannot eat, like my hip to my toes were just trauma level pain. And, later that day I demanded new imaging because like they just kept saying it was normal and filling me more with pain meds. I mean, I remember the occupational therapists would come in and my husband would be in the room. My family was there too. And I was like drooling on myself. Like I couldn't even advocate for myself.
Oh yeah, because they had you so sedated.
So sedated. And that's it. I have a lot of feelings towards that too. But, anyways, so they redid the imaging. He came in, he said bone fragments presented themselves.
Oh, jeez.
And I had, you know, still no idea of what had actually occurred, but I just listened to him. He said, we have to get you into surgery right away.
This was 24 hours after?
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah.
And the same doctor?
Yeah. And so we have to get you into surgery right away and try to get these bone fragments out of your nerve root. So went in, had that surgery, like the emergency surgery, I guess. And nothing had changed. Like nothing had changed. So I was in the hospital for however many days later, and they just kept upping. They said, well, you might have been in the less than 5% that get radiculopathy. And I'm like, what's that? And I'm like Googling it, and I'm trying to like look at, you know, and I can't even see. And my husband's just like, you know, freaking out because I'm like half paralyzed.
Yeah.
And so after that, I'm discharged from the hospital, and within that next 5-day period, I just the pain was so traumatic. If you've never had that kind of nerve pain, you can't understand. It's a pain unlike, because I've been injured, like, you know, other injuries and things like that, but you cannot even imagine this level of nerve pain. So they kept upping some of my medicine, like the gabapentins and stuff like that. And like, so 5 days later, I started convulsing and I passed out several times. So then John rushed me back to the ER, and there was just like nothing that they could do for me. I needed pain management, you know? So I got like, they sent in a doctor to do a nerve block. And I mean, cause I couldn't even stand up. If I stood up, it was like the sounds out of me were death. It was like straight devil, like death. And so once I got out of the hospital, that next time is when, you know, I had asked for a second opinion in the hospital, and they denied me of that. And because at this point, I just like didn't trust what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
My husband, through our network, like got another doctor lined up. He took me out of the hospital after they discharged me formally, and then and we went straight to that doctor's office. And that's when I started learning about everything that happened and all the non-disclosure. So right out of surgery, what I learned is, and I was officially like with that second opinion doctor, who's now my ongoing physician. He just kind of saw me through the past 2 years of
turmoil,
recovery, and all of that. He diagnosed me with CRPS, and it's called complex regional pain syndrome. Its nickname is the suicide disease. And there's a doctoral scale worldwide, or like a pain level scale worldwide, and it's the highest rated pain level out of anything that is known to man at this time. And I personally know why. And so every day was, what he did tell me is like, you know, because I was in so much pain, like when I'm talking trauma and they were calling it something different. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like it has to be something. Well, it was a CRPS. What it is a hyper sensitivity to your skin. So I, you know, couldn't have anything on my skin. If the air conditioning was on, even just like that air hitting my skin would send me into this trauma state of pain. And it was pretty much like that 24/7. I mean, it never let up, but anything in addition to just like being made it so much worse. And so I'm, you know, what do you do when you're in pain? Like if you have an injury or from sports or just, you know, you hurt your leg doing something, what do we tend to do? We just
nothing. You
pop
lay
a
there.
pill.
we rest.
Yeah.
Rice.
Yeah, rice, or
Yeah.
we take the pill, or they tell us to take the pill. This is what we're prescribing you. And I knew that I was going to be on a long battle if I kept taking the pills. And the pills weren't even doing anything for my pain. That's the thing. So like I had to be super tough in that moment to make a decision. Like, do I just take it because they're telling me to take it? Or am I like going to fight for and advocate for myself out of this? And I don't know, just, so anyways, this doctor told me, you know, whereas the original doctor told me to rest, and now he sees that I have and diagnoses me with CRPS. And there's a lot of different symptoms. Like my leg was purple red compared to the other one. The inflammation was so big, probably like double the size of my normal leg. The hypersensitivity, like there's all kinds of symptoms for this complex regional pain syndrome, and it's very rare. So not a lot of people know about it. And I think that's part of my mission is to help educate people on it. Not even a lot of doctors know about it to diagnose you. I think I got really blessed with the one that I ended up seeing, because he diagnosed it and he said, the thing that's going to save you is to work through this pain. And I couldn't see the other side of that at the time, because I'm just like, how am I supposed to move when it literally feels, what it feels like is if somebody had a forged knife, like forged in fire, like a knife just burning and was just digging at your bones and your flesh. That's what it felt like all the time, like non-stop. And so when you talk about moving or even trying to like come up on your toes, which I had drop foot too, I mean, it was just, it was like the unimaginable for me at the time, but I knew like that's what I needed to do. I was going to start moving through this pain. And he's right. It did save me. And it was such a long journey. There were things that For me, I think no matter what situation you're going through, you have to forgive the person who played a role in that damage, or more importantly, forgive yourself for making those decisions. Like, there was a long time where I was just like, I was so mad at myself for not getting a second opinion prior to surgery, like going to a different doctor. I mean, I literally like canceled a second opinion appointment just because I trusted what he was saying, and so like, I think just the forgiving yourself. And then I, in my personal situation, I needed to forgive him so that I could like move past that and just really find, there were days where every second for about the first 5 or 6 months, I mean, at the time Jack was 3 years old and I couldn't even hold him on my lap, let alone like walk around with him. I was in a wheelchair for a while, and then a walker, and then a cane. And, and then I had like this really gnarly hip gait where like I had to lift up my leg high enough so that my foot would clear the ground because I would trip and fall. Yeah. And all the while I'm also like dealing with the immense amount of pain that just wouldn't let up. But anyways, it was just a really wild thing. CRPS is no joke. I had to speak it out of my body. I think that if you change your words, you change your life, change your focus, change your life. And I needed to shift my focus away from the pain and everything that I needed to do to manage myself and just get through like day by day. Like, I needed to shift that focus of why me to what now. And then there's a whole series of things that ensued after that.
What was your mentality in the horrible 5 to 6 months before you got to the what now, which is obviously then you're getting into the nitty gritty of the solution of how to overcome. But for the 6 months, obviously you're in a really, really dark place, I'm assuming.
Super dark and survival. I mean, just survival. And I think that, although it's a different scenario than an addiction, I think like recovery is recovery, and we all have to. I think there's a lot of similarities in any type of recovery. Mm-hmm. I literally had to. I mean, I was just in survival every single day. There's a tree outside of the back window of my house, and has these little baby leaves, and I called it my healing tree because I found myself, I was pretty much a vegetable to the chair that they got for me and brought into my house, and or my husband did, and I would just look out that back window and see that tree, and I would see these leaves moving, and I kept thinking like, that tree is alive. Those leaves are alive. Like, they're living, and I can live too. I literally had to talk myself into just like second by second shift my focus. It was so hard. I mean, you can be super positive and you can have a support team around you. And if you don't, like, services like you offer are just amazing to provide that to people. Thankfully I had my family around me who just kept my mind right, and I would slip, and it's like you work through that pain and you think, okay, well, I made it through today. I can make it through tomorrow, but then tomorrow comes and you digress. And then you're like, well, shit, what do I do now? Like, should I just take another pain med? Should I just do this? Should I, I mean, I was faced with that every single day. Like, well, I mean, it was like the highs and lows, and just like, I think working through the pain is just such a strong message. It's like, not every day is going to be on that upward climb. You are going to fall down, and it's like the support that you have around you to keep you on track. But then also just like that tree for me just symbolized life, and it did something innately within me to make me think that I can hang on to, like those leaves were hanging on to those branches, like, and it just was such symbolism to me. It's like a whole spirituality thing. I don't know.
You're speaking recovery,
Yeah.
right there. I mean, that is what you went through is literally what an addict goes through on a daily basis. It's this mental game that happens. I wanna say kudos to you for one, for finding a doctor that was out of the box, maybe thinker, and also for you to not take the pills. I want to say something about that because opiates. I'm not a doc. I want to preface with I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. And I stayed in a what was that commercial? Never mind. Opiates are actually only good, and this is what makes me so mad sometimes about our medicine, our Western medicine. Opiates are only good for acute pain. They do nothing for chronic pain except for make it worse. There's a and I'm actually quoting a doctor friend of mine who is a pain management addiction medicine doctor. Opiates cause a thing called brain pain. So we are given opiates for our chronic or our acute pain, of the pain that hurts, right? We've got a cut in our leg, boom, takes that pain away. Coming right out of surgery, great for that. 3 days gets you through that really tough time of a surgery, almost makes you not forget it. Actually helps in the healing process. As you go on and you continue with what you had, there is chronic pain. Well, the opiates, if you continue to take the opiates, your brain, they take over your brain. They take over those pain receptors, and then they start to, and then you get not just physically addicted, but you get mentally addicted to them as well. So now they're in the receptors of the brain. Now the brain is telling you that pain is worse. So every time those opiates start to wear off, that the brain causes more pain. So it's not real pain, but it is real pain because it's called brain pain. It causes you the pain in the area that you're having the pain. Then you need more opiates and then you just continue to need more opiates to make that pain go away, which never gets better because your brain, until those opiates are completely gone, will not heal that pain. Even though that pain in this area might actually be completely gone, but it's up here. So the signal tells you that it's hurting. It's crazy, right? And
well, that's your nervous system.
And this is literally what many chronic pain doctors do, is they prescribe opiates. What you did was exactly what everybody needs to do for pain. You can get through pain by pushing forward, pushing through it. You know, people that have chronic back pain. This doctor recommends hot yoga 3 times a week. You know, different things to you know, and everybody's diagnosis is different, but opiates are not the answer for people. So I really got inspired by hearing your story, because it's a story of persevering through something that was tremendously hard, even in spite of other doctors telling you need opiates in this one, and you telling yourself, no, I don't. I just need to push through this. And look at where you are today.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely been a long journey. I still have drop foot, still have nerve pain. There's been a lot of things that I had to find my new normal. My life changed on a dime, literally, with the motion of this and it impacting my nerve root, just like completely changed my life. And so then what do you do from there? And I still don't have anything figured out. Well, I shouldn't say anything. I still don't have it, the majority figured out. I'm just trying to make it day by day. But 2 years in the making, have learned so much. And, the one thing, I would just barely be able to sleep at night because I couldn't put my leg on anything, like the covers, even just laying down. Just simple things that you think that you don't think about,
right?
That we all take for granted until you can't do it. I just wouldn't be able to sleep at all. And I know that had a huge part of a huge impact on my healing too, because think about, you have to get good rest.
Yeah.
Like healing starts with good rest, but learning how to meditate, I had to because I was in that constant fight or flight and just trying to survive and hold on and tense. And my nervous system was going bananas. Just constant chaos in my body. And the only way that I could get through some moments were to try to meditate and separate my mind from what was. So I think being open and willing to do some of those things. And, my sister was a huge part of my healing journey, of just her being into all of those different modalities and just kind of bringing them to the table to say, hey, Natalie, you really need to do this, this, and this. Cleaned up my diet completely. Like people were bringing meals over and all of that, which was so nice, but they were ordering them from restaurants, right? And what's in our food system is
that's a whole
nother
conversation
topic.
We talk about all the time on here.
A whole nother topic.
But
there was so much added sodium and gluten and just preservatives and seed oils and everything that that I shouldn't have been consuming at the time. And so then it was like, okay, we're going to bring everything. Like we're going to just, my sister came and lived with me for a month. At the time she was living in Mexico and just like flew home and lived with me. And it was all hands on deck with my mom and dad and my husband. And so, she would just start making me like rainbow meals and everything that's anti-inflammatory, took out the gluten, like anything that you could educate yourself to do is what you need to do.
Yep.
And that is still work. Like it's so much work, but again, like change your focus, change your life. Instead of thinking I'm in so much pain right now, which yes, that's fact. Like change the focus to what could be and do whatever you can do with support to stay in that place. You're not going to be perfect all the time and you're going to fall. And there were days where I just needed to cry and I didn't want anybody to tell me anything differently. I just needed to cry to like let out my anger or like, why did this happen to me? What is my purpose in this? Like, what is God telling me? Trust me, like all the things. But, at the end of the day, it's just second by second. It's really like you can't even say day by day. Sometimes it's second by second.
How did you get to that spot? Because like Chad was saying, I think how you're speaking about recovery is very much universal, but also what you're saying is very true to the addict or the alcoholic as well, from the second by second. But getting to that mentality and that space of some sort of solution, whatever that may be. How did you get there? Because for like us, we have treatment facilities or, you go into rehab centers and you kind of are getting walked through these certain modalities or certain steps or things that you can start to implement to help you out. How did you get that? Because you had to kind of come to a realization on your own, essentially, to get to that place. Was it a variety of things? Like you said, your sister having a huge hand in that, your family? Because let's be honest, like this is, like you said, the suicide disease. So basically your family all of a sudden starts to intervene because the last thing they want is something devastating to happen. And that's, I'm assuming, people with this,
take their lives because the pain is just starting to like rule them.
Unfortunately, it's a very big statistic with people who have CRPS. I first made a choice that wasn't going to be me, that I was going to be one of, based on accounts that I would read, because there's not a whole lot of research on it. So in my research of trying to figure out more about this and learn more about what's going on with me, is just accounts, like personal accounts of their people's stories. And they would call it the lucky few make it through. And so I just started speaking to myself, I'm going to be one of the lucky few. Or one of, and I'm a Christian, so God played a huge role every second of the day for me. I would just like cry out to him, along the lines of what you're saying, how there are recovery centers and things. I really felt kicked out to the curb on my own for what I was going through, because I reached a maximum physical therapy limit, and insurance said, nope, you're done. We're not paying for anything more. You're on your own. The doctors couldn't do anything for me other than send me in to get nerve block shots or give me more drugs.
Yep.
So I was on my own there. And because that wasn't what I was choosing to do. I didn't subscribe to that. I knew I didn't subscribe to that. And then you think about, okay, well, what else is there that I could possibly do for myself other than the support that I have with my family? Like, I'm literally kicked to the curb. Like, the doctors won't see me because there's nothing they could do. I can't go to physical therapy because I reached that maximum because insurance. What do you do? And so I had to find different things and modalities to try. And it cost me an arm and a leg. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, like, it just cost me so much. And then I think, sure, like rehabs and recovery centers and things, there's a cost. Progress has a cost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what area of life you're talking about, mm-hmm. Progress has a cost. And so I'm making progress and I'm seeing a little bit of the progress. Well, if everybody else is kicking me to the curb and there's really no other options, what is my next move in terms of progress? Go see a stem cell doctor. They didn't want to inject me with stem cells because of the CRPS and it really flaring that back up to full effect. Yeah. So that wasn't an option. Then modalities like hyperbaric oxygen chambers and ozone therapy, blood infusions, and all these kind of electric machines and cords and wires and different brain activities to retrain your brain and your parasympathetic nervous system and all of these things that I literally could probably write a book on that I never knew about our body or my body. That was all on my own. And so to take that step, to take that next step of progress and what that looked like for my situation or for anybody's situation, there is going to be a cost and you have to be willing to absorb that cost.
I love that.
There's an old quote that says the price of progress is pain.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's face it. Without the family, we're in trouble.
Without the family, you're in trouble.
We're in trouble.
Well, we're
in trouble. Just the bottom line.
There is family of origin. There's family of choice.
You can make your own family. That's what we say. Build your village when you get older.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I love what you guys do, is because you are that family of choice for a lot of people. Although I had the support around me of just trying to keep me like just
okay.
Yeah. Just keep my mind in the right place. They didn't know what to do for me. Mm-hmm. No one knew what to do for me. I didn't know what to do for me, but I think we all have an intuition. And sometimes when that intuition, I know we all have the intuition, but when that intuition kicks in, you can either listen to it or you can deny it. And if we could just learn to leaning like if we could just learn to lean in more and take that path, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like take the path of like leaning in and to what is being downloaded into you. That's your next step. Like it's telling you your next step of what you need to do. And I think that that's what saved me really in this, and just like recovering as much as I have in the past 2 years. I mean, my doctors told me from the beginning that I probably would never walk normal again. And nerve damage takes 18 months to 2 years to repair. And after 2 years, if it's not healed, then I can assume that this would be permanent. And I'm at 2 years and it's not healed.
I wouldn't listen to them.
But I don't subscribe to that either.
I wouldn't subscribe to that. I wanted to, the closest thing that I have witnessed in my life is my dad is diabetic. He had severe diabetic neuropathy in his legs. He had drop foot. He could not, every time you were describing, nothing could touch you. He could only put on a certain pair of sweatpants because everything was so painful. I watched my dad for probably 2 years sitting in a recliner chair, just rocking in pain from the neuropathy. I'm glad to tell you that he still has drop foot. He still has that, and he's older now, and that causes him to fall a lot, unfortunately. But the pain, the insane pain that he had experienced for all that time it's way almost gone. I want to say it's gone, but it's not completely gone. Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
This was this is started for him in, I want to say the pain started in like 1998. It's gotten a lot better over the years, you know. Some of the things though that my dad never did that I wish he would, that really wasn't a thing at this time of of our world, was food. You know, taking out all of the crap that causes inflammation in our body. We all know what causes it. Eating regular food in America causes inflammation in your body. And if you already have inflammation, it is going to intensify that inflammation. I had one last question for you, because I don't know anything about this type of pain, but what has a cold plunge done for you, and have you ever gotten in one?
Yes. So we were doing homemade ones probably 6 or 7 months out, I would say. Mm-hmm. Gosh, it was
painful.
Tough. It was tough. A lot of, see, I still have CRPS flare-ups. Yeah. Today. One of the things that I have to work at every single day is I have to do some sort of movement. You know, you were saying how you see me in the gym, and shout out to my trainer, Ben, because he has just had a huge impact on my healing.
It's good.
That was the best part of the podcast.
I was taught in therapy not to pass paper to the person crying.
And she asked.
I know. I was just saying that it's nice to go through it. It was nice. It was
you wait till they ask is typically the thing.
Yeah.
And you sharing too is,
thank you so much.
As weird as it may sound, is I'm only saying it from like what I hear from my sponsor and what I tell my sponsees. This is how you continue to grow yourself individually as well. By you like sharing and being so open and honest.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, I don't remember where I left off other than Ben.
Ben.
Shout out to Ben in Lifetime Frisco.
Yeah. He just really was one of those, I think sometimes we could cry out in prayer and we can ask God, like, what do you want to do with me here? What's next? Like, show me a sign. And, you know, caveat to that, I think sometimes people avoid faith and God for so long until they are in a situation of the unimaginable. And then that's when they cry out to him, because there's no other, there's nothing else left to do. And they figure, why not try God? I'd like to say, just like, don't wait until that point, because if you embrace him before you go through the unimaginable, it's that much easier to make it through. Easier. You know how that can go. But anyways, I just would cry out, like, I don't know what to do. I don't have a physical therapist anymore. I don't have any options through anything insurance wise. Like, what do I do next? And I met him, and he works with me. I work 2 days a week with him, and we work on balance and mobility and strength training. The rest of my leg and hip and things like my glute, that literally if I had tights on or shorts on, you could see the muscle atrophy that I have in my left leg. It's a fraction of the size of my right one. But since working with him, I've been able to build a lot of that back up. But the knowledge that he has in doing that, I mean, he's really been one of those pinnacle people in this whole healing journey. It's just like, attach on to somebody like that. Attach on to somebody that you're able to provide to the people who come to your recovery centers. I mean, it's just, there are people out there that are knowledgeable and waiting for you. He was one of those people for me.
I love that. And is it something like, where is your pain today? Like, where are you at now? Especially it coming up on the 2 year.
I kind of, yeah, like, where was it and where is it?
So when people would ask me that, and I would have to scale that for doctor purposes, I would say it was like a 15 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what else to say. I mean, it was trauma level pain. You cannot put a number to it. You cannot describe it. I was at that place for about 6 or 7 months. And then it started going to like just a 10 out of 10. But I was so used to the 15 out of 10 that the 10 out of 10 was great. Wow. And then it would get a little bit better and a little bit better. And every day, I mean, I like, you know, my program that I needed to follow every single day was speak it out of my body, movement. Like, I have to work at that every day, even if it's just lunges around the house. Like, I have to get my foot, and like, I have to move my leg, my foot, my ankle, my toes. I would have to run a cotton ball across my skin to build up the tolerance. Like, that's what they thought that, you know, that was one of the things that a lot of the doctors said to do. And rehab people, just like rub the cotton ball against your skin. And it was that was absolute torture, like the cotton ball. I can't stand to see cotton balls to this day. But yeah, and then so movement and and the more that I would work at this, like, obviously faith played a huge role for me. I work a lot, so I would just dive into work. You know, I would just change I would keep my focus away from the pain I was feeling, like anything that I could do for that. And now, you know, it just kept subsiding a little bit more and more. And now I suffer with probably like a 4, maybe a 5 out of 10 pain every day. And I haven't really gotten much below that. But to me, that's a huge difference than the 15 out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
I love the part where you said, you've said it twice now, that you would speak the pain out.
Yeah.
I'm a huge, the very first book I ever read, and I'm not a book reader. I am now an audiobook guy. I love them. But the very first book I ever read, I was in jail. My dad sent it in to me, and the name of the book was called Hung by the Tongue. And this book talked about how we were created in God's image, and that God spoke us into existence so that whatever we speak, we also create, that we are creators just like he is. So I love that you did that.
Yeah.
And I love that you continue to do that, because if you continue to speak that pain out of your life, that 4 out of 10 is going to become a 0 out of 10 at someday. I truly believe that. I believe that we are just like God, and we have that ability. And maybe your purpose for this is that you are going to speak that pain down to a 0 and show that other people that it is possible, and that if they just hang on a little bit longer, that they too will succeed in this.
And they will be,
and that's
also the lucky ones.
The most rewarding thing that can ever, to me, that's our purpose on life. Everything else, our purpose is just to help another person that suffers with the same thing that we suffer with. That is the only reason why God left me here on this planet, because on December 9th of 2000, I should have died in a car accident. My car was a crumpled piece of metal. 5 days after that, my little baby girl was born. And the day she was born, I knew that God had left me here to be a father to that little girl, and to help other people that suffer from the same thing that I suffer from. That same little girl that saved my life is the one that found her fiance dead 21 years later from fentanyl. And she has no idea. I don't think that she even can comprehend yet the impact that her birth has had on this world, and even including the death of Justin, is having on this world. Like, I'm barely starting to see the impact that's happening, and that's what I see when you tell the story, is a story of perseverance, and a story of a purpose. When you ask what purpose is for me having this, it's that. There's somebody that's going to listen to this podcast that's going to have that, and they don't even know they have it. And I'm going to, what's cool about it is I'm going to study it after I'm done, because I had never heard of it. I come from a medical family. My dad is a doctor. All of my sisters are nurses. So I grew up around medicine. So when people tell me medical stuff, I understand what they're talking about, and I understand. And this has just been, for me, one of the most fascinating podcasts. It's been really beautiful.
For sure. And also, it just goes to show that recovery is for everyone. Like, you just spoke to me, exactly the whole essence of recovery.
Yep.
One is, the primary is having a faith, whatever that may be, a power greater than yourselves.
Yep.
Because usually when we're at a really low point in our life, usually we all have the same story. We're hitting our knees and we're praying to something, like, please help me, because I am not well, and I need some type of help or guidance or whatever that is. And if you didn't have that reliance, because like you said, people around you, is great to have a support team, but you're stuck in your brain, in your head, and you're the one that has to move. They can't move for you. Same with someone that's suffering with a substance or an alcohol problem. No one can heal an individual except themselves, because they have to be willing to go ahead and make that action. And you made that choice and continue to make that choice on a daily basis. And that is, going back on what Chad's saying, is the power of the tongue. That is the real deal. You speak into essence of things that either you hope for, you want, even if it's about yourself that you don't really even believe yet. Speaking it is
powerful.
everything.
It's everything. We speak what we get.
Yeah, I mean, what you speak about, you bring about.
Yeah.
One-
And you
100%.
you sharing your story is so important, because to the outside world, they'll look you up on Instagram and look at a beautiful woman with a beautiful family, an awesome business. She has everything, without knowing, peeling back the curtain, with every single human being that is out there, there's shit going on that people don't know about. And yours obviously is a physical ailment that you have to deal with on a daily basis, and make that decision when your eyes open up every single morning. What am I going to do to not go to the dark side? Because that's always there. That's always waiting for you to fall over and to succumb to that. And sometimes we do.
Yeah,
And
and the key to your healing, you said it earlier. I was just like, that's it. And it's the one thing that we have to do as recovering addicts, is we have to forgive. We have to forgive, and we have to look at what our part and our role was that we played, even when we've been victimized, right? Because many of us have been victimized. We can't hold on to being a victim. Like I had to forgive the person that hurt me as a child, right? And you saying that I needed to forgive the doctor, and I needed to forgive myself. That's the hardest one. Like I could forgive, but sometimes it's like, how do I forgive myself? And that's the one. And when you can forgive yourself and you've forgiven everybody else, that's where all the healing begins.
And forgiving yourself doesn't just happen one time. I mean, you might forgive yourself and you go through that process a little bit, but there's days where you forget that you forgave yourself, and you have to re-forgive.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Because, our mind is constantly moving and shaking, and things happen. And so all of a sudden, one of those thoughts pop up, and, you have to be ready to counter it, because it's every second type deal. And you don't know when it's going to pop up, where you start to kind of like not forgive yourself. Like going back on your kind of word of thinking that you let that go and you were good. It's hard, because it seeps in, especially with you having something when it's a physical pain, is really difficult, because it's constantly lingering. So it is sometimes, I'm assuming, speaks a little bit louder on some days than others.
Yeah.
Listen, I think that, and if we're about to wrap up, I think that we are all dealt a card in life. There is a card of unimaginable physical pain or mental pain, or something that happens in your life to you or around you that is just the unimaginable. And whatever that card is, and maybe you haven't been dealt one yet. Sometimes people are dealt more than one, which is so unfortunate. But it's all in how you play it, and it's all in how you get back up. It's how you respond to it. It's what you choose every day. And sometimes that second by second choice is what will save you. So, second by second.
Wow. I love that. And I went after what Natalie was saying and what you were talking about is, and sometimes we do, like, I might wake up today not in gratitude and not forgiving myself, but I've got to do some work when I wake up like that, because the way we see it, at least in Alcoholics Anonymous and a lot of other walks of life, we only have 24 hours. We get a daily reprieve from ourselves, right? We get a daily reprieve from the insanity of our minds. See, I don't, when I tell people I left here to help people that suffer with the same thing that I suffer with, I'm not talking about addiction. I'm talking about the mental challenges, the lies,
The obsession.
the insanity that goes on in between my ears on a daily basis that wants to keep me stuck in insanity, stuck on stupid, stuck in victim mode. Just stuck, right?
How can a space so small be so big?
It's crazy,
You know?
right?
Isn't that wild?
And the stuff that my brain tells me, I'm like, are you kidding? And sometimes I let it win. and then I have to stop it and be like,
Because we're exhausted.
it can wear you down.
Yeah.
That little voice, that little, I like to
Yeah.
call it like, the little devil voice. He'll just gnaw at you and gnaw at you and gnaw at you. And you have to sometimes really, the meditation, I love that, but you talked about that too, because God's voice is the quiet one. It's not the one screaming at you, telling you're a loser and this
No.
pain is never going to go away. And, my life is not how I want it to be. And, I should be the shoulds. You should never like don't should on yourself, right? You heard that saying.
True.
Don't should on yourself, because when you start shoulding, I should have.
Yeah. You're done.
You're done.
Yeah. I just look at every challenge, like every time that, I just, how you were saying, like sometimes that voice just comes in and you just let it. And because you're exhausted,
Yep.
it's like you're fighting all the time to work your way through whichever situation. It's like, just, I don't know. It's that place where you are 3 feet from gold. And I always remind myself of that. And there's actually a book called 3 Feet from Gold.
Yeah.
But every time I get like that, or that little devil voice is playing, or like, just lay down all day. You deserve a break. You deserve
Sure.
a reward, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's when I know I need to press in even harder, make the choice to get up and go do something. For me, it's movement. It's getting my mind right, my mentality right, making the choice to do that. I know that I'm 3 feet from gold. And so I lean in a little further and just, but that you have to train yourself to do that. That just doesn't come naturally. But the good news is that you can train yourself to be that way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
to be born with that mindset. You
No.
can develop your mindset. And I think mindset is the number one factor in all of our lives for success or failure. It's your mindset, and you need to work at it
Oh my
harder
God.
than anything else.
Couldn't agree more. Your mind quits before your body does.
All
What
the
you tell
time.
yourself is how it's going to go. So if you can get your mind, that's why I always refer sports, it's your mind in anything, in any facet of life, is the strongest thing that you can continuously strengthen on a daily basis,
Yeah.
because that's what's going to make you win.
Yeah.
Because life is hard, and we're going to go through, like you said, a lot of certain trials and tribulations, and sometimes unimaginable things happen. But the ones that get up is because their mindset won't let them stay down.
Yeah. One quote from David Goggins, actually, this really helped me, so it might help other people. And I'm not sure if it is scientifically true or not, but I'm going to believe that it is, because it just really helped me. But when you think you've given it all you've got, and you are just sweat on the ground, passed out, your body can't make one more step, you can't go 1 second further. When you think you've given it all you've got, you've only tapped into 40% of what you're capable of. And isn't that some shit?
Ooh,
Oh,
that just gave me chills.
That means I can do the 10K Spartan.
Yeah, you can.
I got my 5K Spartan
Good job.
right here. I can definitely do my 10K, because the 5K, I felt like what you just said.
But that's
and
only
I was
40%.
only 40%. So I've got.
But when you know that, and you think about that, I heard that early on in my recovery journey, like through the hardest part of it. And it was a pivotal moment for me.
Sure.
And so when I'm on my walker and I'm doing, trying to do laps around my house to just move, and I've got my hip gait going, and like I'm just holding on for dear life, I would just say to myself, this is only 40%. I've got 60% left. Tap in, tap in, tap in. Like, I would just coach myself. And
Huge.
so it was just a huge game changer for me. And I'll never forget that.
I'm going to keep that one
love that.
right here in my memory bank. I quote David Goggins
Oh, yeah,
all the
I love
time. The 3 feet from gold, I love. I still need to read the book, but it's exactly, so I have
I've
these,
never heard of that book.
I have these 4 keys to success, right? To be successful, not just in business, but in life in general, right? And one of my keys, which I stole from Alcoholics Anonymous, I changed it just a little bit, but in Alcoholics Anonymous, they say, don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle happens. When I'm talking to people in business or just in life in general, I say don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle happens, because it is always the darkest right before you're about to succeed. Things seem the toughest. And that is always when people quit. They're out of money. They're things are going bad. Everything just looks bleak, like you're not going to make it. And
Just do what you can in the natural. Do everything you can in the natural. And when times get like that, you just know.
you
like,
call on the
you're-
natural.
Yeah, you are 3 feet from goal. Just keep going.
Keep going. I mean, God's the answer. You know, that's the one thing I hear a lot in motivational books and stuff. They always forget to leave that piece out. But that's the piece that has given me the ability to continue on when things seem like I should quit.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, God has been the answer for me every time. I'll wake up in the morning and I'll be like, well, you woke me up today. I guess I'm not done. Let's go, even though I don't want to.
For sure.
Amen.
Amen. What
That's
a beautiful
when the biggest
podcast,
blessings
man.
happen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Shane?
You're sad.
Yeah, she's a testament to human nature and just never quitting. And that's what life is. You know, my brother got shot in a hospital for 2 years and still played pro hockey after that. So, I mean, you can't give up. Michael had polio. My grandmother took him to the pool every day, walked in the water. I mean, there's ways, you know, there's things. And you're finding those things to do and you're getting through it. It's awesome, man. Yeah.
Thank you. Never judge a book by the cover.
Never.
Ever.
Never.
And also the self-belief within yourself, because what happens a lot and what you hear, like, from your story that you just shared, and I've heard it with, like, my family members and people telling you cannot do something, or she will not be able to
Yeah.
walk, or she will, says who? Says you? Nah, because
Yeah,
you ain't me.
right.
You're not in this head. You have no idea what I'm built with and what I can do.
Well,
So
it's not only that, it's her family coming over, giving her the juice. Like I said, my grandmother, my family came around my uncle who had polio. One leg is this thick.
But I'm saying is
She pushed them.
individuals have to have the self-belief within themselves to not
100%.
listen to a doctor telling you can't do
100%.
something.
Yeah, and you gotta
To-
pick the family members too, because you
100%.
can have some family members
Yeah.
that come over and start
Kill
telling
you.
Yeah, you know, you're not going to
Yes.
be able to make it
It's
through
looking
that. You
pretty
should
bad there, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Don't know if you're going to make through that.
Yeah. I mean, I like those people too, the people that tell me I can't, because, you know, I take the Kobe Bryant like mentality
It's
when
fuel to my
fuel
fire.
to your
at least.
fire.
Yes.
For
I
sure.
mean, I had to like snake stare that doctor,
Yeah.
which, you know, he's great and in my corner, but I had to just, I will heal. I will heal.
Yes.
Like, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Now,
is super important.
Never
I
give
have
up on the hope.
one
Yeah,
last
exactly.
question for you. It's not really a question. I just really, Natalie, how do I say your last name?
Radzwilla.
Radzwilla. I like it. It's a really cool last name.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I saw it up on the board and I was
Yeah,
like,
he's
that
been
is-
trying to pronounce it all morning before he got
I
here.
did say Radzwilla, didn't I?
I don't know about that.
No?
I'm not sure.
We don't know.
Oh wow, that really sounds like
You like that, Ted?
you're a straight.
But what a glimmer of
Yeah.
hope to so many people. And I love just your entire story, from just going into business and having that just, why not? Let's give this a whirl. The biggest thing a lot of people do is get stuck in fear because they're scared of failure. But that's just what life is about. We're going to fail. And you keep pushing forward to doing something that you want to do, you're passionate about, and that you love. And then obviously your story of constant, relentless, persistent pursuit to get well daily.
I want round. I'm sorry, just to cut you off. I want round 2 with you a year from now, because I want to know where you're at year 3, right before year 3. Because if doctors are saying I don't believe them and you don't believe them.
Well, they didn't even say that she was going to be able to walk. You're already walking and you're wearing heels right now.
So I want
That's
to
a
know.
win.
And I want to mention
Year
something
3.
about that. Here's something that, and you're on for that. I'll take you up on it. When you have physical ailments and you're in this new normal, you have to figure out how to compensate and like what compensations are going to work for me in my situation. If I'm in flat tennies, I stomp on the ground.
Okay.
Like my flat foots, and I have a bigger hip gait to try to clear my hanging toe. What I've realized is if I wear a little bit of a wedge or a little heel, it helps me heel toe better, and it helps take away my gait.
Oh, wow.
And I'm able to at least feel as normal as I can feel in this situation by the heel toe, because the little wedge catches the ground first. It gives you that heel toe feeling, rather than if I'm flat footed, without shoes or in a flat shoe stomping. And so little things like that you just, be curious. If you have something, physical going on, be curious about what will work better for you versus something else. And, again, like how you were talking about, like, yeah, you could go on my Instagram and see a smiling face. Like, it's the invisible suffering that no one will ever really know that I deal with every single day, but also like the different compensation methods that I have had to figure out and be curious about to figure out of how I will make my life better. Because the last thing I want to do is give any more of my life, my energy, or my being to something that messed me up. I just refuse. I have had to have a funeral with that. And so now it's on to the next thing and figuring out that one foot in front of the other and walking again.
For sure.
Another quick shout out to Hook and Barrel.
Yes.
Where can we find Hook and Barrel?
Hookandbarrel.com.
Hookandbarrel.com.
Easy breezy.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a lot of outdoor retailers across the country.
Are you in Camping
or
World?
you can, no, not there.
Hmm.
Bass Pro and Cabela's, and a lot of the independent outdoor retailers across the country, which is really exciting. And you can subscribe on hookandbarrel.com.
Perfect.
Love it.
Thank you so much for coming on. This was
Thank you for having me.
Podcast.
Yes. And I will see you guys back in Texas.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.